Now part 2 of our 3-part series looking into serious allegations against a local school district and its special education department. Tonight, teachers talk lessons learned after leaving Woodland Joint Unified School District.
Your reporter covering Yolo County, Ashley Sharp, joining us now in studio, exposing how allegations against the district are indicative of a larger nationwide problem. Right, Ashley?
Yeah, that's right. And yesterday at 5 and 10, I first introduced you to a parent and special education advocate, both alleging students' education rights are being broken at Woodland schools. The district told me in response they're taking the allegations seriously, and based on my questions back in December, said they would launch an internal review of the special education department. That review is still ongoing. Tonight, what some former teachers say they experienced and why a group of lawmakers is calling for a nationwide fix to a special education crisis.
As a teacher, you sometimes have to balance, is this worth losing my job?
There's a fear among teachers of speaking up to a district and speaking out against it, knowing blowing the whistle, in a sense, could cost them their profession.
Hi, how are you?
I tracked down 2 former Woodland Joint Unified School District teachers who want to share their stories, but only anonymously. Still teaching in other districts, they fear retaliation. I'll identify them as Teacher 1 and Teacher 2. Describe to me what happened.
So I was assaulted by 2 different students within about a 15-minute period. No one gave me any warning that people had been hurt in that class.
Teacher 1 served as a substitute at Gibson Elementary in a special education classroom last school year, where she says she was attacked by students, something she learned later had happened before.
I'm a second-degree black belt, and I didn't even see it coming because I think he cocked, and I couldn't see it based on where I was. And all of a sudden, I just fly back, and he had done a direct palm strike to the bridge of my nose.
She says another student yanked her hair, kicked, and punched her.
The whole process of how to report an injury was not followed at all.
At the emergency room, Teacher 1 says she learned she had a concussion and a neck sprain. In a meeting with Woodland Joint Unified District leaders, she says she told them directly that they were at fault, not the students.
You should have told me that 2 kids are violent in that class, and I would have known to distance myself. I'm not going to work in Woodland now. My experience was so horrible that I can't see myself ever working in the district I live in, which is unfortunate.
Teacher 2 taught a special education preschool class and at the time had 10 years of experience. After this job with Woodland Joint Unified, did you consider quitting teaching entirely?
I absolutely did, but my heart is really in the service.
After advocating that one of her students needed additional one-on-one support in the classroom, Teacher 2 says she took data backing that up to the district and fought for it. She claims she was fired in retaliation, an allegation a district spokesperson declined to comment on.
They did approve the one-on-one for the student, so for me that was a win. However, I was pink slipped and asked not to come back and told I wasn't a good cultural fit. I cried. If I'm going to be honest, it was really sad because I really liked the students and I really liked the staff that I worked with. And it's unfortunate that our system is kind of set up where if you have a teacher that's willing to advocate for their students, they're kind of ostracized and isolated, especially in districts that are really struggling.
Those speaking out hope to highlight one thing: our schools need help. And this is bigger than Woodland Joint Unified.
This is a local issue, but it stems from a national issue.
Here's Dave Gaines, CEO of the nonprofit Sacramento Autistic Spectrum and Special Needs Alliance, an advocacy group that helps area families and their children with special needs navigate schooling and social services.
The system of education for students with disabilities in public schools across the country is really broken. It comes from primarily 2 things: lack of funding, significant lack of funding, also staffing shortages. You either lower the standards to go down to what the resources are, or you got to raise the resources to be able to meet the standards.
Trying to do just that are a group of bipartisan lawmakers in Congress, including Senators Adam Schiff and Alex Padilla of California.
We are really derelict in what we committed to doing, and what that means is it puts a lot of pressure on the school districts.
Reintroducing legislation to fully fund special education 50 years after the passage of the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act, or IDEA. Under it, the federal government committed to pay 40% of the per-student price for special ed.
We continue as a country to fall short on this promise.
Current funding is less than 12%. This school year, that shortfall is more than $38 billion nationwide.
But it's never been fully funded, which has created the situation. Schools are trying and doing their best. Unfortunately, their best isn't meeting the needs of students.
The IDEA Full Funding Act would mandate regular increases in special ed spending. What's unclear is if Congress can finally pass it in a Trump administration climate laser focused on cutting costs. Senator Padilla said President Trump's cruel dismantling of the Department of Education is putting millions of students with disabilities at risk of losing essential IDEA funding.
This is about the future, the well-being, and in some cases, the lives of children with disabilities.
It's a call to action from the classroom to Congress that comes at a high cost. So President Trump, in his executive order last month to close the federal Department of Education and return that power to the states, said that when it comes to education in general, per student spending nationwide has increased more than 245% since the 1970s without much education progress to show for it. I asked the Trump administration for comment on those cuts and how they plan to still make sure that the most vulnerable students have the supports they need. After all, it can be 3 times as expensive to educate one child in special ed. The Department of Education pointed me to comments made by Secretary Linda McMahon on CNN, where she stated this quote, "What we need to do is to make sure that the funding has a clear path. The funding continues, but that the states are allowed to spend the money where they need to spend it, to hire teachers, increase their salaries, to make sure our students with special needs are taken care of." Coming up tomorrow, our final story in this 3-part series, set for trial next year in Yolo County Superior Court, is a civil lawsuit filed by a Woodland Joint Unified parent on behalf of her child against the school district. This is about holding a district accountable.
Absolutely. I believe that this was preventable.
The suit alleges that her child with special needs was sexually assaulted in a school bathroom by another student, claiming that the district did not do enough to stop it. That story and how the district responds Wednesday night at 5 and 10 o'clock, guys.
Wow. Our jobs as adults, and certainly as politicians, as school leaders, as officials, is to set our kids up for success, right? And clearly we're not doing that.
Right. And anybody really can look at education nationwide and say that, right? A lot of kids not meeting benchmarks, obviously really made worse by the pandemic. There's just a lot to unpack there. And you really can't blame one district, one set of leadership, right? It's a snowball effect. And it's something that, you know, these people in speaking out have said, we just want to call attention to it, you know, and I think that that's, you know, what they've accomplished really in sharing their stories.
I appreciate you bringing the parents last night and now the teachers today just to see this problem and how expansive it is.
We'll look for part 3 tomorrow night. Ashley, thank you.